Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA. It's 359. I'm Brendan. UFC 296, Edwards vs. Covington prelims. All right, it's going to be Alonzo Menifield versus Dustin Jacoby. The rest of the prelims are going to break them all down round by round. Talk about what a banger of a set of prelims this was. Have some fun talking about them. Maybe talk about some implications for each person. If I can get all through them in less than 30 minutes, hopefully. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. That way you know the next video is coming out. I'd really appreciate it. All right, let's get into some fights. All right, Alonzo Menifield. Man, he hits hard. Crazy. Okay. And I do have some takeaways from this. So, we will talk about not the implications necessarily, but something I've noticed after watching, MMA for, a decade now, a little bit longer. Jacoby was looking to counter the right hand of Menifield with a lead left hook. Jacoby was staying down the middle with his shots, landing low kicks. Menifield swinging with the hooks big. Jacoby with the pressure, tons of feints. Menifield clinching up, but Jacoby pushes him to the cage, lands a little bit of stuff on the inside to the body, to the legs. Jacoby landing more clean shots that round. Menifield just falling behind. You can see that here. Striking numbers 28-14. Jacoby just, landing more shots. Huge left hook from Menifield lands and Jacoby staggers, but right back into his face. Hard low kicks from Menifield landing. Hard right hand down the pipe from Menifield. Two right hands stagger Menifield. Then he lands a couple left hands. Jacoby's landing the jab hard. Menifield's backing up yet again. Menifield hurt him more this round, and it'll be interesting to see if he can keep it up, is what I wrote down. But he kept up with him in the striking, 31-27 in favor of Jacoby, but the bigger shots did come from Menifield that round. Even though they both rocked each other, Jacoby got rocked more. Last round, the jab from Jacoby's out there early. Jacoby with the hard right hand. Menifield slowing down, just like he did at the end of round two. Menifield missing, and Jacoby coming back with a big 1-2. Big left hand lands, and Jacoby goes down. Menifield goes for the takedown. Jacoby in his face in the clinch. Jacoby is just not in his right mind. Stays in the clinch, and Jacoby just never recovered. It's not that he didn't outland him. He did, 34-27. It's not that he didn't damage him heavily. He did. He just got knocked down, and that was it. He had to have come back hard. He had to have put a lot of pressure on him, done a lot of damage in his own right, and he just didn't have his legs under him, and that's why he stayed in that clinch. All right. I want to talk something about kickboxers and what I've noticed, okay? This does not mean all kickboxers, but from what I've seen, a lot of kickboxers, especially ones that are in and out of the UFC, we've seen some really good kickboxers come to the UFC and just, never make it. It's because their styles don't adjust, right? They're way too relaxed when it comes to striking game, and then when they get caught after winning an entire round, which Jacoby was winning this round comfortably. He was staying in tights, doing everything he needed to do, but he just gets comfortable, gets caught, and then that's the end of it. The thing is, when you get caught after winning a whole round, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose that round. It doesn't matter. And you don't have a 10 count, you only have 3 rounds. That's the thing, is if you're not fighting in a title fight, you only got 3 rounds, or a main event. You only have 3 rounds, which means you shouldn't even be giving up 1, but you only have 1 to give up. And if you get caught twice in 2 separate rounds, right? So if you get caught in the first round, caught in the third round, even though you could win a majority of the fight, you can win 95% of the fight, it doesn't matter. You're going to lose because you got out damaged. And you don't have that 10 count to get back up. A lot of times, in the kickboxing or boxing, what happens is the guy will get hit hard. He'll take the knee. He'll take that 10 count, and he'll recover. He gives up that round, but, he can keep going forward, make some adjustments, and move on. And, that's the thing, is you've got 8 rounds, you've got 10 rounds, you've got 12 rounds, whatever it is. You've got a lot of rounds to play with. You can play around with, I gave out this round, it's a 10-8, but I'm going to come back stronger. There's none of that here. And a lot of it is the comfortability that these guys have in the stand-up. They're too relaxed out there in a bad way. Now, you can say Wonder Boy was a kickboxer and he's done great. Yes, but he's got a very unique style and he's adjusted his style to MMA. Look at Adesanya. Yeah, he's adjusted his style too. And he was a great kickboxer. How about Pereira? And what happened to Pereira? He's gotten caught a couple times. The thing is, these guys, they come in here and they have all the skills in the world, but they just fight the exact same way. And it's just not going to cut it. Based off this, unless Jacoby makes some significant changes to his style, I think he'll make for some interesting and fun fights, but I don't think he's ever going to challenge for a title. Based off of this fight, okay? And for what I've seen from in the past, Alonzo Menifield, probably the same thing. Guy gets way too tired. He's got some power in his hands, but unless you're fighting at sea level on the best day, I don't know if he's got what it takes to, challenge for a title. It doesn't mean he's not going to have good fights or he's not a good fighter. He's absolutely great. It's just, do they have what it takes to step up to the next level? All right, Irene Aldana versus Karol Rosa. Now, this might be not fight of the year. I don't know because I haven't gone back and looked at my notes or remembered all the fights from this year. But this has an argument, and it was just a bloody mess by the end of it. Rosa landing low kicks to start. Rosa setting things up well, landing the 2 and the low kicks. Aldana is too far out of range for most of her strikes, and then when she moves in, she's getting punished with the jab and the low kick. Stiff jab from Aldana, the inside kicks from Rosa, keeping the balance off, keep knocking her off balance. And Aldana just gets wobbled. Oh, she gets wobbled by the left hand to end the round. 10-9 for Rosa, 45-30 for striking numbers, ton attempted. And then you look at the leg kicks, 32 leg kicks landed in the first round. Unreal. She should have went low with them. I know this is armchair quarterbacking, but it could have been addressed mid-fight. She should have gone low. She was kicking too much to the thigh and with not enough power. Is she gone low with some of them? I think we're talking about a different fight here. Rosa's ending all the combos with the low kick, and holy shit, she's landing a lot of them. Aldana lands a right hand to force the Rosa's back up. Rosa landing a right hand of her own. Aldana keeping the pressure on with the volume just will not stop. Aldana stumbled on that lead leg now. She's hopping weird, but then she keeps moving forward, lands an uppercut and a straight right. Closer round with the volume. I felt like Aldana was leading with the volume, but if you look here, the volume's still in favor of Rosa, but the difference maker was the head strikes. 48 head strikes for Aldana, 37 head strikes for Rosa. That is where the volume differential came from, right? That 11 to the 11 to the head. And it's not that the leg kicks weren't doing anything; they were. It's just at this point, if you've landed over 60 leg kicks, you've got to start. They've got to start taking a visual effect on your opponent. Otherwise, it's not going to score for you over getting punched in the face. So I had it 19-19. Last round, Aldana starts the round with the right hand. Rosa, punishing her with that jab. The right hand as she comes in this round, and the leg kicks are there all day. Aldana hurts Rosa to the body with the left hand. Aldana picking it up down the stretch, but Rosa still firing back. Rosa hurt Aldana with the right hand. Holy shit, what a crazy fight. I lean towards Aldana for that one, but it could go either way. And you look at the numbers, 92-61 in favor of Rosa. I don't know if that's accurate, but she beat her to the head. She beat her to the legs. The only way she didn't beat her was to the body. And that's the thing. You could give this last round to Rosa. I know that Aldana, let's look at the scorecards here. I'm pretty sure she got it on all 3. She did. Jacob Montalvo, Ron McCarthy, and Derek clearly. Okay. It's hard to just take them seriously. So, does this mean, see, the thing is, Aldana got outstruck by 31 strikes. That is not insignificant, guys. 31 is a big number. 31 strikes, and Rosa got punished to the body, but unless you were really looking hard, it didn't look like she didn't go down from it. She wasn't so hurt that she crumpled over, and she kept firing back, and she hurt Aldana herself. There's an argument to be made that Rosa won this fight. Now, it was close, and I scored it for Aldana. I scored it for her. But there's an argument to be made that Rosa won this one. Great fight. So much fun to watch. Lots of pressure, lots of volume. Could have seen a little bit more defense. But other than that, really good. All right. Cody Garbrandt versus Brian Kelleher. Kelleher trying to move his way in, but Garbrandt is so fast and loops some shots around the guard. Kelleher landing some great low kicks, hurting Garbrandt early. Kelleher is able to back Garbrandt up with nothing other than low kicks, but Garbrandt's throwing a lot more up top and able to land some. And then Garbrandt staggers Kelleher with a right hand and then finishing him. I think it might have been a left, actually. Or no, there was the right hand and then the left came over, but Cody Garbrandt's still really fast. Let's chill with the he's back and he's the best. I don't know if Joe Rogan has a directive from damn it. I don't know if he has a directive from the UFC or if he just gets it in his head that a fighter is just one way for the rest of his life. But the way he talks about Cody Garbrandt, he's talked about him this way ever since the Dominic Cruz fight. Even when he was getting messed up by TJ in both fights. Actually, I don't know if he was announcing the second one. It was in New York, so it should have. Even when he was announcing those ones, it was all about Garbrandt, how good he is at this. Everything that he does is so good. He talks about his skills like there's nobody else who can beat him. Meanwhile, he's gotten firefights and lost. He's gotten in technical battles and lost. He's got in boring fights and lost. Like, he's beatable, and he has the skills. Now, he called out Figueiredo. That fight was supposed to take place a while ago, so it'll be, I'm down for that one. I think that makes sense. Maybe not so much for Figueiredo, because Cody Garbrandt is, fighting Brian Kelleher, who's a really good fighter, but he's not in the top 10 or anything. He's not a top 10 fighter. Whereas, I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC gave it to Cody, because they've been trying to push him forever. Okay, they've been trying to push him since he came onto the scene, and they have given him opportunity after opportunity. And in some cases, he's come up on top and he became the champion. And then he, spectacularly lost that twice. Didn't have to fight for a Here's the difference. Cody Garbrandt was able to get a rematch against TJ Dillashaw after never defending his belt. That's how bad they wanted Garbrandt in there. They're like, oh, he caught him with that right hand. Yo, you know what? He could do it again. We'll get him in there. I bet you he'll get the belt back and we can really promote him. Nope. And that's the thing, is like, they made TJ Dillashaw, after he lost a split decision in a division where he defended the belt multiple times, he loses to arguably one of the best of all time in Dominic Cruz in a split decision, and then has to go fight 2 or 3 fights before he gets another title shot. Meanwhile, Cody fights nobody other than TJ, loses to him, and then fights him, gets an immediate title rematch. You can tell it's not that Cody Garbrandt was some dominant champion that's done this. Like, they've been trying to push him for years, and I don't know if they're all in on it together. I don't know if Joe's a part of it, or if it's just one of his things where he sees something and he just accentuates it. And here's the thing: Cody Garbrandt has a ton of skill. The guy has got fast hands, he hits hard, and he's got some crazy performances. That being said, he's clearly got weaknesses. It's like they never bring them up. And I know you don't want to talk about him while the guy's fighting, but god dang, man. Oh, yeah, in Rogan last night. This is a total side note, but I just remembered it. Rogan, like, in the Edwards-Covington fight, like, Edwards throws a big looping left hand that Covington bounces off his shoulder. Like, he throws his guard up, and it bounces off the shoulder. And then he's like, oh, he's beating him up now. It's like Rogan had that waiting, like he had that little soundbite waiting, and it didn't really do anything. It didn't really land. It's so stupid. That's what I'm saying. Like, these guys get this thing in their head, and they just gotta say it, and sometimes it fits, and sometimes it doesn't. Casey O'Neill taking on Ariane Lipski. This fight wasn't bad. All right, Lipski landing right away at the end of her combos with that right hand, and then again finding the mark with it. O'Neill looking for the takedown in the clinch. O'Neill finding the mark with the jab and the right hand. She just doesn't have as much sting on them. Lipski landing a hard 1-2, snapping O'Neill's head back. Lipski going to the body well with the kicks at range and the knees in close. And then Lipski landing more damage for sure in this round. She outstruck her 39-28. It wasn't really close. 10-9 on my card. Second round, Lipski landing a right hand, and O'Neill has to back up. O'Neill going down, and Lipski emptying the tank to get it done. She does not get it done with the TKO, but then through, she gets the back, and then goes to the arm bar, and then O'Neal's walking around the armbar. She's defending well, but Lipski holds on to that wrist really well and then anchors it against her leg and, does the armbar across one of her thighs. Oh, it looks so nasty. Women tend to be more flexible, especially in their joints. We've seen it before, right? This isn't something new. So seeing an elbow bend backwards, we've seen it a lot in the women's division. Obviously, some men can do that too, but we've seen it happen more in the female division. It just looks so bad. And it takes you not by surprise, but it's a little off-putting to see an elbow bend the wrong way. Let's put it that way. All right, Tagir Ulanbekov versus Cody Durden. Dude, these guys from, I don't know if it's from AKA or all the guys from Dagestan, but they cut a shitload of weight. This Ulanbekov looked like he was in there. Dude, it looked like, I don't know. It looked like he was 2 classes up. He looked freaking huge. It is crazy. They don't even look like they belong within 2 weight classes of each other. That's nuts. Ulanbekov was so much bigger. They are all size bullies, and it shows. All right, low kicks from Ulanbekov, then a counter right hand from Durden. These guys from AKA, oh yeah, I wrote that down. Hard right hand puts Durden down for a second, and Ulanbekov dives on a guillotine, but Durden rolls out of it and gets on top. Durden staying in tight, kicking low, landing body shots, keeping it dirty. Durden countering the clinch with uppercuts. Ulanbekov landing a stiff jab at range. Ulanbekov uses the overhook to get takedown, and Durden landing some cutting elbows from the bottom, but for sure, this was Ulanbekov's round. If you look at the striking numbers, Durden did land more, 23-18, but that big shot that put Durden down clearly does the damage, and he had control time. So 10-9 for Ulanbekov. Second round, Durden right in his face. Durden lands a knee, and Ulanbekov goes for the takedown. They tie up, and then he gets it. Ulanbekov gets the standing backpack using his toes in the cage to support himself. Not cool. Yeah, overall, it was a pretty clean night in terms of fouls. There was, of course, some toes in the cage stuff, some grabbing of the cage a little bit from random fighters. Nothing too egregious. It was more incidental stuff, and they weren't really grabbing so much as pushing, and you're just not allowed to do it, though, but he was sticking his toes in the cage and literally supporting his weight, which is one of the problems with the standing backpack with the body lock, is it wears out your legs. So if you're able to support yourself with the cage by pushing up at it, it's kind of cheating. Not kind of cheating. It is cheating. He finally gets a tap after staying on his back for the entire round. So Ulanbekov looks great. Another guy who's big, wrestles a lot, and he's got some heavy top pressure. So they got another one there. All right, Andre Touchy-Fili versus Lucas Almeida. Again, still my favorite nickname. Fili's finding the mark with the body kicks. Both guys staying on the outside for the most part, staying in to start the fight. Almeida landing a great low kick. They get into a trade in the center, and Fili lands a great right hand that puts Almeida down, then follows up, gets a ref to stop. I don't agree with the stoppage. Okay, I think that was a bad stoppage by Jason Herzog. It's not so bad, right? It's not that he wasn't hurt. He obviously was hurt, and we get into this conversation every time. If you say it was an early stoppage and someone doesn't agree with you, what is the first thing they're going to say back to you? Oh, well, look how hurt he was. He was clearly hurt. No shit. When someone gets punched in the face and they go to the ground, they're clearly hurt, but it doesn't mean you stop the fight immediately. And the thing is, he followed up for the TKO, and he started landing some punches, not necessarily to the face, someone to the arms. I mean, he was landing some good shots. It's not that I like this is I'm not mad that Fili won. I don't really honestly care about him winning. I'm happy for him. I like Andre Fili. It's when you see a stoppage like this, you got to take some notes and look at how they're looking at this fight. Is it because it's the second fight on the card and they haven't warmed up yet? The referees, that is. Is it because they're trying to save the fighters from extra damage because it's not for a title fight or something? Whatever it was clearly early. Almeida was getting back up, and then immediately when Herzog pulls Fili away and tells him to stop, he's up. Almeida's standing up. He wasn't out. He wasn't, I don't know how bad he was rocked. He looked like he was fine. And that's the other thing is like, they're like, oh, well, let's see when he stands up. Let's see how bad it was, because if he wobbles, then it was a good stoppage. Is it though? Because we've seen people wobble and they still fight. Are you going to stop the fight every time somebody wobbles? It's this whole thing. They want to excuse bad stoppages with some random criteria that they put together that wouldn't hold any weight when it comes to the rest of the fight. You're like, oh, well, he was hurt. That's a good stoppage. People get hurt all the time and they keep fighting. Oh, he was wobbled. Look, he can barely stand up. No shit. People could barely stand up and they still win fights. It's like, oh, well, look, he stayed on the ground. Uh-huh. Yeah, usually like if you're rocked and you want to defend yourself, like you're not going to immediately stand back up with and put your face like in front of their fists. There's just a lot of things that go into it. I didn't think it was a good stoppage. It wasn't so bad. It wasn't totally out of place, but I found it weird that nobody even mentioned it. I wonder if they got quiet when they saw like how easy he stood up and they just didn't want to ruin it. All right, Martin Buday versus Shamil Gaziev. Gaziev landing a right hand in tight under the guard, and then again over the top. Stiff jab from Gaziev as he walks Buday down, not giving him any space. Gaziev shows no respect for anything that Buday is doing, just picking him apart. The ref calls time to look at the cut on Buday's eye, like right on the eyelid. Buday shoots, but ends up on bottom, and he's just getting bullied. I had a 10-8 in this first round, 36-7 for striking numbers in favor of Gaziev. This did not look, it was not close. It was not Buday's night. Gaziev right back in his face, pouring it on, and the ref just calls it. Buday never really quit. He did shell up, and he wasn't firing back, but he didn't just outright quit on himself, and I commend him for that, but this was not close. All right, this one was much shorter than the main event. All right, I appreciate y'all for stopping by. Thank you guys so much. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. That way you know the next video is coming out. If you guys don't watch any of my other videos for the rest of the year, or I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, Happy New Year if I don't see you before then. Love you guys. Hope you guys have an amazing week.